Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Class 47 Peter YouTube channel. And in today's video, I'm going to be bringing you a layout update for Fox Hill Junction. Now I know I've said this before, but I'd like to apologise that I don't do monthly layout update videos. And the reasons for this is because I can never get into the routine of doing a layout update video every month, but also there's never enough progress that goes on with the layout to warrant monthly layout update videos. Especially given the fact as well that I don't just do model railways. I have another hobby, which is a rail enthusiast. As you all know, I go out and I film trains. That's another hobby of mine. So I'm not all constantly going at on my layouts. With my layout, I like to take my time with it and go at my own pace. So there's never enough progress that goes on with the layout to warrant a layout update video every month. And also with other content that I produce for the channel, I probably wouldn't have the time to do a layout update video every single month either, anyway. And so I like to have the variety, being a rail enthusiast, going out to film the real stuff, and my other hobby being model railways. So that's why I don't do layout update videos every month. But for today's video, I am going to do one, because there has been quite a bit of stuff that's gone on with the layout lately, so I thought I'd do a video to update you guys. Now the first thing I want to talk about is this, which is natural dried moss. It's not supplied by any model railway manufacturer, but it is supplied by Knoll. And this is something that I have been using on the layout for certain areas. And so what I've been doing with the natural dried moss is I've been using it to represent climbing vines, which I've been adding to some buildings. So at the back here of the corner shop, or village shop, whatever you choose to call it, as you can see, I've been adding some of the dried moss onto the back of the walls there. I've also added some to this pub, and this pub down here I've added some to a number of areas on it. As you can see, I've added some on the front there, around the windows. I've also added quite a bit up the top there by the roof, and I've added some just down there. And I've also added some along there as well, in between the windows, but I haven't put it so it goes all the way up to the top of the roof. I've only done it so it goes halfway up to the top of the wall. And that's just to add some variety to it, basically. And I personally think that this dried moss, when you add it to buildings, it really does make quite a good effect. And what I've basically just done is I've taken an old paintbrush, put some glue on it, and I've spreaded the glue onto the areas where I want to put it, and then just simply stick it on. And so I thought I'm quite pleased with this. But I've also added some of the dried moss on the walls as well, again to represent climbing vines. Now as you can see, I haven't done the same effect in terms of how the moss grows on the walls. I've tried to make each one different, basically, just to add more interest and variety. And I haven't overdone it. I haven't covered all the walls. I haven't done the whole wall because I wanted to leave some of the wall there left as it was, and also didn't want to do all the walls either because I wanted to add variety. I've also added the dried moss along these walls here as well. Again, I haven't covered all the walls because again I wanted to leave some as they were to add variety, and again I haven't covered the entire walls either that I have done, because I think the more natural it looks the better. And I certainly do think that adding this moss makes a huge difference. And for some of the moss, what I have done is I've taken some of the Tasma Products climbing vines with flowers and I've added a few onto those. I haven't done all of them, but I've added to some of them. And that just gives a bit more definition and adds to the detail. And again, I've done various different effects just to add interest. And so I for one am quite pleased with how this looks. Much better than all just the plain walls as it was before. And I have still kept the walls that I already did with the climbing vines on with the flowers, which I mentioned in the previous layout update video I did. And here's the other side of the walls. You will see that some of them have been left as they are again, because that's how I wanted to leave them. But there's another reason why I've left them as they are as well, which will become clear later on in this video, as you will soon see. So now for a couple of little details I've added here and there. I've added a newspaper by the track where the bay platforms are. And also by the track side I've added a couple of newspapers and a drink can. And I just think that just adds more detail basically to the track side. It's something I've already done with the other line, as you can see on the other platform. You can see the newspapers there and the drink can. So it's pretty much the same thing that I've done already, but I for one quite like it. Because if you go to stations you will see that there are rubbish lying by the track. And so that's something I wanted to recreate on the layout. On the pavement, just along there by the area that's been heavily fly tipped, I've added a squashed drink can. Now if you ever walk along pavements you will see that bits of rubbish has been thrown down on the floor, and you will see drink cans that have been squashed flat, either because people have stood on them or road sweepers that have come along on the pavement and they've run over them. So that's what I've done there, and I've squashed that drink can down and I've glued it in place. And also on the barrier there I've added a newspaper. And so the idea is that someone was with their newspaper and they just either placed it on the barrier or the wind blew it and then it got caught on the barrier. So I think that looks quite good actually. And so it's the little details like that that make all the difference. I've also been buying some new figures for the layout, and the figures I've been buying are from Fine Scale Figures, formerly known as All Scales. I showed some of their figures off in the previous layout update video I did. And I have to say that these figures are some of the most realistic looking you can find on the market. They are up there with the likes of Model U and Hardy's Hobbies. And these figures I have here, there's 6 of them. There's a couple of other new figures I bought as well from them, which I'll show you in a minute. So you've got these 3 here, which I bought pre-painted. And then you've got these 3 here, which I painted myself. So you've got a couple of hikers, a man and a woman. As you can see, I've given the bloke there a beard. And you've got a young woman as well. And these figures have been painted using paints they already have. A mix of some Humble acrylic, Humble enamel and the Revel aquacolour paints. And if anyone is curious as to which paint brushes I've used to paint the figures, these are the ones. These are fine detail brushes which I bought from eBay for £5.33. And you get 11 brushes and you get a wide variety of sizes, especially sizes such as these little ones here. I find are especially good for painting things like hands, faces, even shoes and other smaller bits of detail. I mean, there are manufacturers like Humble who do make detail brushes, but you only get 4 of them and you don't get the variety of sizes, and they are, I think, to be honest, for the value of money, you know, you can buy them for 13 quid or even more, just over that, but I don't think that they're really worth getting, to be honest, because you only get 4 brushes and you don't get the variety of sizes as you do with these. And I shall put the eBay link to these in the description. A couple of other figures I've bought from Fine Scale Figures is this one, which is a half-naked lady leaning on tyres, being photographed by a bloke. What makes this scene a bit funny is why it's been photographed by the bins. And that makes quite a funny scene, I think. Now you will already know that I already had one of these figures on the layout, which you would have seen in the last layout update video I did, and in a number of running session videos I've done. I've had the camera placed along here, and you can see the guy there in the foreground photographing the woman. Now, around the beginning of this year, I think it was around end of January, beginning of February, when I walked into the shed one day, I found that the original figure had disappeared. I don't know what's happened to the original figure. That's something that's completely baffled me. I don't know why it's gone missing or how it's gone missing. To be honest, I can't explain that. I was quite disappointed and upset by that though. So what I did was, when I stumbled across the Fine Scale Figures website, again, formerly went by the name of All Scales, which the website had been down, when the site had gone back up and gone under the name of Fine Scale Figures, and I saw they had this figure in stock, I bought one to replace the original that went missing, and I've painted the figure up to look like the original. The colours in some areas may differ slightly from the original, but I for one am very happy with it. And again, the figure hasn't been glued in place, but it is blue tacked in place. And the idea with this is, again, like with the original scene, the figure is basically not glued in place so that I can move the figure around, so that she's in different positions having the photos took, basically. And so I just think that's a little funny scene to have on the layout. And finally, for the figures, I have this sitting man. He was sitting on the station platform. Didn't really have anywhere else to put him, so I've had him sat on the station platform. Basically because there's no room left on the benches, so he's had to sit on the platform floor. Why not? I think it looks quite good there as well. Something else I've also been doing is I've been adding flowers to some foliage and bushes in a few areas. And the flowers are from Tasma products, from their climbing vines with flowers, and I've taken the flowers off some of the vines and then put them onto some foliage and bushes in a few areas. So you've got some here, these bushes on this hill, that one there and that one there, both have flowers. The foliage along the line just there also has some flowers. And that bush in the corner of the sidings has also got some flowers. And that just really does add to more detail. You can also put some of the flowers on areas of grass as well if you wish. I want to put some on some of the bushes and foliage, because that might make things look a bit more interesting and add a bit more definition. And all I've done is I've taken some treated PVA glue that I used to glue the ballast down, put them on the bushes and the foliage, and then just sprinkled on the flowers using a spoon. It's a method that works really well. So not too long ago, Scale Model Scenery released their small freestanding modern advertising billboards kit, which is a new kit that they brought out. And with the kit you get 4 of these billboards in a pack, and I've put all 4 of them together. The billboard bodies are made out of MDF, and the frames are laser cut. And so what they recommend you do is you paint the billboard bodies black and the frames white, but I didn't want to do that. What I've done is I've painted the billboard bodies black, but I've painted the frames and the outside of the frames a silver colour, as you can see. And I've just done that to give them that metal look, so that they've been made out of metal. And then what they do is, once you've painted the frames, you cut them out, glue them onto the cellophane sheet that the kit comes in, and once the glue's set, you simply cut them out, and then you glue the posters onto the billboard bodies. You can either choose to have the posters on the one side or on both sides, and then you just simply glue the frames on top of those. So they are easy to build, these kits. Now they do supply posters for these billboards with this kit, but I didn't want to use the posters that came with the kit on these billboards. What I wanted to do is I wanted to sort of customise these and put my own advertisements and posters on of my own choice, and that's what I've done. So first of all we got this one, which this is one of the two that I've done, that has the advertisement on both sides of the billboard. And this one is a DVD advertisement, and it's advertising the 5th series for 2 pints of lager and a packet of crisps. And on a side note, if you've never watched the show, while you're here, go and watch it. It's absolutely hilarious and I love watching it. And so I thought, why not? Why not do an advertisement for this on the layout? And that's exactly what I've done. And I've done another one. Again, this is another one of these billboards where the advertisement I've put on both sides. And again, this is advertising another DVD for 2 pints of lager and a packet of crisps. This time this is advertising Series 4. And the only reason I did this particular one is because I got stuck for ideas, to be honest, for posters or advertisements. And I thought, why not do another one for 2 pints of lager? So I'm rather pleased with those two. Then we have the other two, and both of these only have the poster on the one side. I probably should be painting the back of these silver, to be honest, but you're never going to see the other side anyway. So we have this one, which is a Virgin Trains Fly to London poster, and the artwork on that I think looks fantastic. And that's just a homage to Virgin Trains. Those of you who watch my running sessions will know that I do have some Virgin Trains livery stock, so I thought, why not put a Virgin Trains poster on the layout somewhere. It's sort of a nod to my youth as well, because I grew up with Virgin Trains later on in my youth. So why not? Originally though, I was going to try something where I took some of the older posters, like for example from the Southern Railway, the Great Western and so on, and stick them all together on a billboard. I did try that out, but it didn't look right. So I thought it would be better to just stick with the one poster. And then last but not least, we have this one. Which this one uses the old intercity look what you gain when you travel by train poster, which I thought that would look really nice. And I am overall rather happy with how these billboards have come out, and so they will be added to the layout. And so I do definitely recommend these kits. So I've put the two hikers on top of the hill. Now originally up there were two normal figures, the cheap Chinese figures, that were painted and had on the top there, which some of you may remember in past videos. I didn't really like them, so I took them off, and then I bought these hikers when I saw them to go on top of here instead. And I think they look much better on top of the hill. And so the reason why I've put them there is for shots like this, for example, where the hiker's at the top of the hill and they're watching the trains in the foreground go past. I think that will make some good photos and even videos as well. So the freestanding advertising billboards from Scale Model Scenery have gone on the layout. So first of all, just outside the station, I've added the Virgin Trains poster and the look what you gain when you travel by train poster. And I thought that those two looks most appropriately outside the station just there. And then on the high street I've added the other two billboards advertising the 2 pints of lager and a package of crisps DVDs. So there's the one advertising for the Series 5 DVD. And again, as I mentioned earlier, it's on both sides, so you can see it from both angles. And then down here you have the one advertising the Series 4 DVD. And these billboards are just held in place with Yoo-hoo glue. I haven't had to put any weight behind them to hold them up, which sometimes you might have to do to glue some things, but not these. Just put a bit of glue on, stick them down, and they stay there in place. So those have made some nice additions to the layout. So next up we have some scale model scenery, large graffiti waterslide decals, and I bought these together with the freestanding advertising billboards, and I've bought these to go onto the walls that have the climbing vines on them, the ones that run along the front of the railway. And so I've added some of the large graffiti decals onto the brick walls. I've added them on this side, which is the reason why I left some of the brick walls plain, basically, because that was done because I had graffiti in mind. And I've put the graffiti on this side of the brick walls because it makes it look like then that the people who have vandalised the walls, they have trespassed into this area around here. And also because there wasn't really any room to stick them on the other side because of the vines that I've added, made out of the natural moss. But I do think that they look better on this side than they would on the other side, to be honest. And I, for one, I'm really happy with how this has come out. It's certainly added more depth, and it's added more definition, and it's just added a lot more detail to this area. And I've also coated the transfers with a varnish. This is what I've used, Johnson's Clear. And basically, when I first put these transfers on and let them dry, it left the see-through backing on the transfers, which, to be honest, stood out like a sore thumb quite a bit, and I didn't really like the look of that. So upon adding the varnish, which I just used one of my detail brushes, dipped it into the plastic bottle, and then just simply brushed it on, that seems to have worked. It has gotten rid of quite a lot of the backing. I mean, in certain lighting for that one there, you can see it, but it still doesn't stick out as much as it did. It has still otherwise taken a lot of the backing off. Now also with this large graffiti decal, which goes across the two posts and in that middle section of the wall there, all I did originally was just place it on top of the wall. It didn't even look like it had been graffitied onto the walls, to be honest, the way I had applied it. And so when it came to adding the varnish, I corrected this, and what I did was I took my brush, dipped it into the bottle, and I just simply rubbed into the corners of the posts there and there. And what that's done now is that has massively improved the look of the graffiti. It now looks like it's actually been painted on, it's been graffitied on. Whereas before it just didn't really have that look. It just looked like it had just been placed across that wall section. So you don't need to use any decal softener for this. Again, all I did was dip my brush in the bottle and just simply rubbed it into the corners, and that's wrapped it around the corners basically. And that looks much better now than what it did before. And then down at this end of the brick wall, I've added two more graffiti decals. And again, I've put varnish on them, which takes off the see-through backing as much as possible. So they do look much better now. In certain lighting though, with the light shining on them, you may be able to see it still a bit, but before it was a lot more noticeable, so that really has helped to take that off. And it looks much better now, as I say. And again, with that large graffiti decal there, did the same thing as the other one I just showed you. I just got my brush in the varnish bottle and just simply rubbed it into the corner there, so it looks like it's actually been painted on rather than just being placed across the posts in the middle section. And so I'm really happy with the graffiti. I have still got some left, so if I ever wish to use it on other stuff I could. You can also add it onto rolling stock if you wish. I mean, I could still add a couple more here and there on the brick walls. For example, that section just there on the end. But I think I'm going to leave it for now at the moment. I've also been redoing the chicken coop. Now, it's not an area that I ever regretted doing, but it is one of those areas where I go back to and I think, you know, this could be changed, this could be made better. So what I've done is I've trimmed the fence down. It was longer than it was before and actually ran right past the coop, so there was a gap in between the coop and the fence, so I didn't really like that. So I've trimmed the fence down, so that looks much better now. On the ground I've added Woodland Scenics soil, because before it was just the scatter that you can see on the garden. And I've done that just to add more detail and definition. And I think, in my opinion, it looks better. And then I've added chickens in there. Now there's a mix of, I believe it's either Knuckle Prizer who produced them, and also the majority of chickens in there are these ones. They're made by Serious Play, and these are 3D printed chickens. And they are quite good actually. And they have been painted up by me, which I really enjoyed doing. In real life you do get chickens in a number of different colours, but I wanted them to all be the same colour, and I've chosen to try and go for the orangey brown colour. And so all I've basically done is I've pretty much just painted them orange. And I'm quite happy with that. So the chicken coop now looks much better than what it was before. Something else we've also been doing is we've been partially rebuilding the bridge that goes across the sea. Now originally the bridge was made out of cardboard, which had polystyrene legs. Now the problem I was having with the cardboard was it was a bit crude, to be honest, the build quality in places, but also damp had somehow gotten into the cardboard and it was sagging in places. And so what we've done is we've rebuilt the top of the bridge with help from my dad. My dad cut out some pieces of wood, which was leftover wood from the tunnel rebuild. So they've been cut to shape and to length, and then they're just simply glued in place onto the polystyrene legs, which they've been reused because they were good. And we've just used wood glue basically to glue the wood on in place. So that's now going to be much more sturdier and more robust. So before we even go to relay the track, it's got to let the glue dry first, then it's going to be repainted, then the track can be relayed, and then we can put the girder bridge sides back on. So I wasn't going to do a separate video on this, I've decided to cram it into this layout update instead. So a few days later, and the bridge is now finished. The track has been relayed, the bridge is being rebuilt, well, the cardboard has been replaced with the wood at least. It's been painted, and also the girder bridge sides are now back up. They have, however, had to be raised, as you might just be able to tell. That was because my Baldwin locomotives, the chimneys kept hitting the support beams in the middle, so to stop that from happening, I had to raise the bridge sides. But I think, to be honest, when you stood a fair distance away, I don't think you can really notice it, that they've been raised. But I'm quite happy with the bridge now, and the track is being fixed in place now, and I think also because this is wood now instead of cardboard, things should run a lot more reliably now. Here's hoping. And also you can see the plated girder bridge sides there, which you saw in my video that I did of the plated bridge sides and the foxes from Jumbo Lane Printing. I know that one on the other side looks higher than the other one, but they are the same height. That's just an optical illusion. But I'm really happy with how the bridge is looking now. Looks a lot better than what it did before. I know you've got these large spaces such as here and over on that side, over there. No idea what's going to go there yet. I might in the future decide to put some random various bits of details there possibly. Or I don't know, perhaps maybe get away with building some sort of cliff or something, I don't know. We'll see. But I'm happy with how the bridge is looking now. So on top of the rock faces, just along that incline there, what I have done is I've put some of that natural dried moss on top. And I think that looks really good. That certainly added more detail up there, because that bit area was lacking in detail, and it's also to hide the amount of ballast that was there as well. See, you can also portray it as perhaps bushes or even brambles, not just necessarily climbing vines. But regardless, whatever you use it for, it really does add that bit more detail, if you know what I mean. And I think it looks fantastic. So as we're now coming on to the end of this update, I'm going to showcase some new arrivals. First up we have 2 Virgin Livery Mark III coaches, and these are to go with the rake that I already have, which takes my rake up of 6 Mark IIIs up to 8, which is prototypical. In both Intercity and Virgin days they did run in rakes of 7 and 8. At the maximum they're running 8, so with these 2 coaches I'm able to now run a full length train of Mark IIIs and DVT. These 2 coaches I have here, they do have the same running numbers as 2 of my other coaches, but to be honest I'm not really fussed about that, because it still allowed me to extend my rake. But also I'm not really fussed about running numbers, to be honest, because I'm going to be spending more of my time just watching and admiring the train running round on the layout. And also in my videos you won't ever be able to tell that they are 2 running numbers that are the same anyway, unless you've got a really sharp eye. The next 2 items to show you are these, which are the Rails of Sheffield 16-foot South Eastern Chatham Railway covered goods wagons. Now I've already reviewed one of them, the version that has the experimental doors, but I had 2 of the other ones on pre-order, both in the South Eastern Chatham Railway livery. This one is in the Maunsell Grey livery, and the other one is in the Wainwright Grey livery, and they both got South Eastern Chatham Railway written on them. And I am going to be doing a review on both of these. I've had them since for probably about a week now. I haven't yet got round to taking them out the box and doing a video on them yet, but I shall do soon. And the other new item I have to show you in this video is a new addition to the loco fleet, 37798 in mainline livery. This model was produced by Batman for a twin pack, which came with another Class 37 in Transrail livery, which the number of that loco escapes me. And that was produced exclusively for Rail Exclusive. Now I believe that this model is quite a rare one, because I haven't seen very many, or if any for that matter, of these twin packs come around for sale. And I certainly haven't seen either loco available for sale individually before. And it was doing some random browsing on eBay, as you do, that I stumbled upon this model. And it was available as a buy it now, brand new, in mint condition for 160 quid. Which I think that was a bargain, to be honest, because for this model that doesn't come about very often, I would have thought it would have been more expensive. So I thought 160 quid was a bargain. And again, like I say, I hadn't seen this particular loco come about individually before, or to be honest I hadn't seen it in the twin pack come about for sale very often, or perhaps even before either. And so when I saw it I just cracked and I had to have it. It's not something I needed, but it's something I wanted, and here it is. I now have it. Apart from 2 of the buffers I had to be fitted back on again. That's not the seller's fault, to be honest. But it's in mint condition. and it runs well. So all I've got to do now is to take off the tension lock couplings and fit a Hunt coupling on, because otherwise it won't be able to pull anything. And also I've got to fit the accessories from the detail pack on the model. It doesn't come with the instruction sheet or a certificate, but that's totally fine, because I'm just happy that I got this model. So this is the third Class 37 that I now own, and it's in a livery that I saw in my youth, because I did see some Class 37s in this livery, and also it makes a nice addition for the other livery mainline locos I have. I've got an 09, a 60 and a 58 in the mainline livery, which you would have seen those locos many times before, so it's nice to have a 37 in this livery now as well. I'm not going to be reviewing this loco though, because I've done loads of reviews on the Class 37s. I've pretty much reviewed them to death really, so I'm not going to do a review on this model, but I thought I would give it a mention in this video, especially because literally at the point I'm filming this clip it's only just arrived. I've also started adding more bluebells along here. And this area is now starting to take shape. I'm starting to get happy with it. So I think it's looking really good. These bluebells here, they are bigger, as you can see, probably darker in colour than some of the others. Especially if I come down to here, you can see that these ones are smaller compared to these ones. But that's totally fine, because they didn't have any of the small ones left, so I had to get some of the bigger ones. But then again, I think it makes it look more natural if they're different sizes rather than all being the same size in height. And my plan is to take the bluebells up to, I'd say, at least about around here somewhere, then the rest of this area can be left as it is, or I can put some other static grass or details like foliage, whatever there. So some more bluebells have been added there, and I think that's really starting to look really good now. So I have got to get some more, and if you're interested, if you want to know who makes them, they're made by seriousplay.com. Right, so that's it then for this layout update. There isn't really anything else to talk about right now, because there hasn't been a lot much else that's gone on the layout. So at some point I shall do another layout update when there's more things to talk about, once more things have gone on with the layout. But that's it for this video. So what I'm going to do is, as a bonus to finish the video, I'm going to do a small running session on the layout. So thank you for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed it. Please don't forget to subscribe if you like what you see. Don't forget to hit the like button. Check out all my other videos I have on the channel, and I'll see you again next time. But until then, take care. Bye for now.